The next question might be, how can you ensure that you continue self-development and good practice? Or what do you know about CPD? For this question, they're really looking at that you respect the fact that as part of your registration, you have to complete continuing professional development. That means that you recognise the need to have regular appraisals and that you prepare for these, and that as part of supervision you want to discuss your progression and that you take a proactive approach to your own development, and that you're going to attend mandatory training, but also that you're going to recognise any gaps in your learning and be proactive about addressing these. Like I said, they do want you to be proactive rather than just say that you'll attend training when you're asked to, because it is part of your requirement as a social worker. Maybe here would be a good chance to give an example about when you have gone the extra mile or something that you are really interested in. For example, with myself, I'm really interested in dementia and specifically around how people can live well with dementia. I did some training on this where I presented it, and something like that would be good to throw in just to show something that you're interested in, especially if that's going to directly relate to the role you're applying for. I'd just make sure that you show that you're required to remain registered with the regulatory body and say what that is. If you are a newly qualified social worker, you need to show your eagerness to do the ASYE year. I know that when I was first applying for a job, they said that that was what they were looking for in that question. And if you're more experienced, either talk about things that you've done before, like your practice educator training or AMP training or BIA. And if you haven't done those things, just show willingness really to do it. You need to reference the KSS and the PCF and say why that's relevant to practice. Maybe just have some things in mind of that. I wouldn't get too bogged down in it, but it might be even that they ask you a specific question about that and you need to be aware of it. I think it's just being aware that your continuing professional development is not just about training. It could be about how you learn from the people you supported, and that involves keeping up to date with theories or changes in legislation that might apply to that individual and what you've learned from the individual's experiences, but also showing that you don't just take a one-size-fits-all approach, that you see what the person's needs are or what their situation is, and that you adapt to that. That would mean really the more experience you have and what you've learned from it, the more enhanced you'd be with your continuing professional development.